Pourquoi n'ai-je jamais rien vu?
Les grandes personnes ne savent plus croire.
My name is Martin Groves. I had an incident in the 1990s spring turkey season that kind of connected me to the area. I'm a retired police officer of 32 years. I've been with a local rural sheriff's department, of which I have now since retired. But I was with the department for many years and a uniformed patrol officer. Coming from a police background, it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. The only reason why I've even come forward at this point is, one, I have retired, and I don't really care what people think of me or what will be said. I feel like there is something within that park, animal or beast, that is a danger to the public. I was told that this would be very detrimental to any tourism and to anything that any public reports coming out that there was any kind of animals eating people or attacking people within the park. And there has been a long time standing unwritten rule that they control the reports that come outside the parks. I'm going to be very respectful because of the family that suffered a loss. A hunter was killed and was mauled to death. By the official report says it was a unknown animal, unknown species. The reports that I have read and what I have been told is that the animal was either a cougar or a bear that had ripped the man out of his tent and had consumed him and pulled his body 300 to 400 yards away from the tent. It is my belief that I actually had met this man the day before while I was out and was scouting. And I do not know if it was or not. I do know that the man that I met was in the same immediate area, and I observed his pickup truck. And it's just too many indications to me that I believe that the man that I met is the same man that was pulled out of his tent and eaten. In the spring of, I believe it was 1993-94, a hunting partner and myself, a friend that I actually worked at the sheriff's office with, had decided to take a trip into Land Between the Lakes for turkey hunting. The first night we came in, we had absolutely no problems whatsoever. The next day, we both got up and decided to take a small excursion searching for birds, and we went our separate ways. We had a very nice game trail to follow, and I followed for miles and throughout the entire day. At this point, in the late afternoon, I had a feeling that I was being followed inside the woods. Behind me, I could hear movement, and I could feel a presence that I did not know if it was animal or if it was man. Being an avid hunter, I was very observant. 200 to 300 yards behind me, on the trail behind me, I could see movement in the woods. I continued through the woods for some time and followed the game trail, edging my way back to my camp, when I did actually catch movement in the woods, and I could see that there was 2 or possibly 3 animals that was tailing me. But when I would stop, the movement would stop in the woods, I continued on, and as I become closer to my camp, I could hear a distinct knock in the woods, and it would be a large boom, like someone had taken an axe or something up against a tree. So at that point, I believed it was my hunting partner, and I was getting closer to camp. As I got closer to camp is when I first observed what I believe to be a man in a ghillie suit. So I just wrote it off at, I'm on a hot trail. I just need to get back to camp. Somebody is watching me to the west of me, and somebody's coming in on a game trail behind me that is animal. Something was just tagging me. I finally did make it back to camp. The closer I began getting to my camp, I heard whistles. I could hear a whistle that was human-like, that was a shrill whistle. I attributed a lot of these things to, this is my hunting partner back in camp. He's knocking something, he's whistling, trying to get me to come in. So I came into camp. And immediately when I come into camp, my friend that I had known for many years, I could tell was very shook. There was something not right with my hunting partner. And I said, look, I'm sorry I've been gone. He said, it's not that. I was a little bit worried about you, but there's something around the camp. That's when he broke down and told me, he said, I've been hearing whistles, and there is something hitting a tree, or there is maybe rocks being clambered against the ground. He did not know either. We settled in and we talked around the campfire. It got dark at this point. When it gets dark at Land Between the Lakes, it is dark. There's no car lights, there's no street lights. It is as if you were in the 17 or 1800s. We felt like we were being pressured to get out of the camp, and this is when the activity began. All that was illuminated was our campfire and our kerosene lamp. So we had a distance of 15 to 20 feet at maximum around the camp that would be illuminated, and then we would see shadows. And I noticed what I believed to be a man behind a tree. It looked as if a person was standing behind the tree, a very large tree. At that point, we were locked in. We were not going to be made to move by anything or anybody. This was our camp. We're staying and we're going to hunt here. A small limb or tree, piece of a tree, come flying off the top of the cliff that was raised above us. Then a rock came. And when the rock comes so close to in between us, we were standing within 5 to 10 foot of each other. We started getting scared. At one point, Harry told me that maybe we should get our firearms. And so he set his shotgun closer to him. My shotgun was laying on the ground, but I had a sidearm on me. So I kind of felt confident. You have to imagine the darkness and how dark that it was and how limited the vision was for us. We began to get a growl from where the person or persons were standing. The growl was so intense that it vibrated in my chest and within my partner's chest. It was like a vibration. It was not like a growl I had ever heard in my life from, I've been around bears, I've been around pigs, charging boars. I've been around all different kinds of animals. This was a growl like I had never heard. All of my life, I've been trained not to be afraid. I've been trained to attack anything that comes into vision if you perceive it to be a danger. I could not do anything. It was as if I was a child and I was 5 years old and I was scared of a monster in the dark. And I noticed that my partner was totally frozen. He was not moving. He was breathing fast. At one point I seen his shoulder slump, and he was not feeling well. All time had frozen. Everything had just, like it had become still. And it was just a low, intense feeling that I had. Out of the left side of my peripheral vision, I saw movement. At this point, I made a physical move, and once I took a step, I felt like I just gained like my freedom. And I pulled my firearm. I turned my shoulders to face the object that I caught in my peripheral vision. I looked forward, and I could see what I knew was not a man. I knew that it was not an animal I had ever seen, and it was coming towards me. In the glow of the campfire, in the glow of my kerosene lamp, I caught what I felt was an upright walking. It was not bear, it was like a wolf. It was large, it was huge, it was still walking towards me. I've discharged my weapon in its direction 2 times. You have to imagine when you fire a gun at nighttime that you have an effect of almost like a camera going off. And that camera instills something in your brain. So I have this image instilled in my head of when the flash went out. And the animal, it was like it responded to the firearm. It was intelligent. It knew that firearm was dangerous to it because it reacted. It moved and it went backwards before I fired. It is as if it could jump and leap beyond any human understanding. It jumped to the rock face that was beside of it, and in an instant it was gone. It disappeared and went over the ridge above us. That when I fired my weapon, my hunting partner behind me discharged his firearm in the opposite direction of me. I'm screaming at this point. I'm screaming, I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's time to back up to the truck where we were parked. And I began to cover above me, I covered to the left of me, and he's walking, and we're walking behind us. As we get to the truck, I jump up into the back end of the pickup truck. He gets in, cranks the vehicle. I'm standing in the back of the pickup truck. The lights flow towards a field that was in front of us. Directly in front of me were 2 huge figures, creatures. I believe that what was stalking me in the woods, I believe that whatever I fired at to the left of my camp was what people refer to as a dog man. But I know what was in the headlights of that truck was not the same creature, because it towered at least another 2 or 3 foot taller than the animals that I had seen in my camp. These were 2 very large creatures, and I realized that one of them was the exact thing that I had seen in the distance that I believed to be a man in a ghillie suit, and it was not a man in a ghillie suit. It was not a bear. It was on 2 legs, bipedal. That's what I believe was whistling the entire time that I had heard in the woods. That's what my partner had heard whistling. Were the two figures that I observed in the field in front of me, were they working with the other animals? I just say the words. Were they working with the dog man? Were they guiding the dog man? Or were the 2 large creatures there to protect me? I do not know. My partner fires up the pickup truck and we speed out of the area. As I turn around behind me, something was tearing our camp completely to pieces. We stopped and we attempted to report what took place with us. And we were told that we had overreacted, that we had observed what they said was a rogue bear. There are things that I will not say on camera, people that I've spoken with over the years. You have to understand that the law enforcement field is a tight brethren. There is an unwritten rule that you will not talk of anything coming out of the park. I mean, these guys have pensions, these guys have family. Can you imagine working for somewhere for 20 or 30 years and you're called into the office and you're told that due to the fact you spoke in public about an incident that took place, that you're fired? At this point, there are many people that have went missing or have come up, they've been found dead within the park. And this is a phenomenon that's not contained to Land Between the Lakes. This has taken place in a lot of our national parks. It's a very scary thought that the general public is, to a certain extent, the general public is unarmed when they enter these parks, unable to defend themselves against anything, man or beast. I have nightmares, I'm plagued with dreams. At one point I spoke with a professional that said that I had seen something that had traumatized my memory. I couldn't accept what I had saw. That trauma of whatever that I had occurred that night and the incident that I had seen, that it will haunt me. It will be in my dreams. They told me to attempt to work it out. I will not hunt in the deep woods any longer. I've been to different states. I've hunted in Montana. I've hunted in Wyoming. I have fished where I've had grizzly bears within 20 to 30 yards of me when I'm fly fishing. They don't scare me. That scares me. What I saw that night was such an intense feeling and a feeling of evil that cannot be described.